Why, hello there, everyone, and welcome back to the GSL-English Podcast, a podcast designed to absorb you in the English language in a relaxed and natural way. My name is, of course, Gideon, and in this week's episode, we are joined by a very special guest. It was an absolute pleasure to have a conversation with Emma, who you will most likely know from her very successful YouTube channel, Pronunciation with Emma. And we had a very honest and down-to-earth conversation. I really enjoyed it. We spoke about our different stories, getting sunburn, but also Emma told her story of how she began teaching and how she got to where she is now. And she told it in a very honest way, and I found her story very encouraging, and I'm sure you will as well. And of course, being a pronunciation expert, Emma also gives some advice on how to learn pronunciation naturally and effectively. And also, we talk about the differences between accent and pronunciation. So it is a really good conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed having her as a guest, and I know you will take a lot from her different insights. Now, just so you know, this podcast, as always, should go live on Sunday at 10 a.m. But at this time, I am up in the air. So although I am recording this on a Monday, whilst you are listening to it, I'm technically up in the air, flying from Miami to the Dominican Republic. So, all being well, you're still receiving this podcast on a Sunday morning, so I give you a wave from the plane. But if not, then you are watching this on Monday morning because something went wrong and I had to fix it. But all being well, it is still Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. But if it's not, and this is uploaded a little bit later, then that's why. Kind of a little bit of a paradox, really. But there you go. So I hope you are all doing well. I hope you have had a good week. But for now, sit back, relax, grab a cuppa and enjoy my conversation with Emma. So hello, Emma. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. How are you?
I am very good. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this for quite a while now, ever since you kind of said, yes, you're happy to join. I've really been looking forward to it. I've been following your channel for a long time. So yeah, thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for following my channel as well. I say this every time, but it's so strange. Like, I forget that people watch my content because I just see the numbers and the comments. Yeah. But then when I see people in person and they're like, I watch your videos, it's like, these are real humans.
That must be a strange
sometimes
thing.
I forget. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess because you're kind of, of course, especially with your YouTube channel, you're seeing these large kind of numbers, but actually they are just figures on a screen until you can visualize an actual person.
Yeah, until you meet people. Like I went to a teaching conference a few weeks ago.
Oh, right.
And what's the name of it? IATEFL.
Oh, okay.
Like one of the big ones. And I think it is the biggest one, if not.
Wow.
Yeah, one of the biggest, if not the biggest one. And yeah, I was stopped a few times there. Like, oh my God, Emma, I use your videos in my lessons. And I was like, oh my God, that's so strange.
Yeah, people are actually watching them.
Yeah, like actual humans.
Yeah. It is. I remember someone, I mean, not that I'm at that level at all, but I think, because of course some of your videos, racking up hundreds of thousands of views, but if you were to put that many people in a stadium, watching your video, technically, I don't know, you're out selling like Taylor Swift or something. So
yeah.
So well done.
Thank you. Never been compared to Taylor Swift before, but I'll take it.
Yeah, she is amazing. How was your weekend? Did you have a nice weekend?
I did. I'm trying to think what I did. Oh, on Saturday I met up with some friends. I went into Barcelona because I live quite close to Barcelona. Oh. So I went there for a nice meal and was just chilling with some friends, some fellow online English teachers. I think in this industry, our only friends are other English teachers.
It does seem that way.
But these two are actually online Spanish teachers, so slightly moving away from the typical only online teachers stereotype. But yeah, what did I do on Sunday? I just cleaned. I just cleaned the house.
I like that answer. Because you
Yeah.
often feel like you have to give these kind of answers. I don't know, like you did these amazing things, or I hiked a mountain. But the reality is, we all just do normal things.
Just
cleaned
my house. It was an absolute pigsty. Like I had to clean it. Yeah, just everything.
Are you someone that likes to clean the house? Like I know some people, they kind of like the idea of getting stuck in and cleaning. Me I hate it with a passion.
I hate cleaning, but I like clean spaces, and I need clean spaces.
Yeah.
Because I feel once it starts getting quite cluttered and the desk starts building up with paperwork and biscuit crumbs and like 3 or 4 old cups of coffee and stuff, you're like, oh, and then the flies start coming in the summer and you're like, oh, I have a problem, maybe I need to tidy up.
Something's got to change.
Yeah. But no, I need a clean space to have like what there's like an expression, like a clean space is a clean mind or something.
Yeah, it just clears your mind, doesn't it? You can approach things a lot in a much cleaner way, I guess, and just kind of I know the other day I was the same. I had like this leaning tower of cups on my desk that was just collecting throughout the week, and I thought I really need to take that to the washing to the dishwasher. But just throughout the week, it just grew.
No, just keep going. Just see how far you, like a game of what's the game? Is it Jenga?
Jenga,
when you're like when you like keep building the blocks up, or taking them away and see which ones
live on the edge. That's what they say, isn't it? I live a wildlife.
Yeah, go crazy. Stack up all those mugs.
Yeah, that's about the extent of how crazy my life gets now. It's good adrenaline rush. So you said you're living just outside of Barcelona at the moment.
I am.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Just outside Barcelona. And then, every so often when I want to feel the chaos of Barcelona and the polluted fumes, I jump on the bus, and in like half an hour I'm there. It's really close. Yeah.
So how long have you been living in that area?
About 2 years, just over 2 years. Wow. We moved here. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So I've never been to Barcelona.
You need to come. You're invited. Come.
Oh, really?
Come and see me.
Definitely. We'll make. Yeah, that would be great. Is it? What's it like as a visit? Like a city to visit? Is it?
Oh, I would say like from now. So when I went on Saturday, it was crazy. It's just like full of tourists, and the tourists just do not care about people around them and the locals. They will just stand in your way. They will just take up the whole escalator, and usually people, it's like in London, people step on on one side so people can pass, but tourists, no, they will just take up the whole thing. And they're like they really are a pain. So I don't like that, and everywhere is packed. You want to go try a restaurant and you can't, so it's just full of people. So I would recommend that if you really wanted to come to Barcelona, which you definitely should, I would come more in like the autumn and winter months. Because also, like, you're super pale like me. Like I get sunburned walking to the supermarket. No joke, no exaggeration. I do. It's 5 minutes and I get sunburned. If you come in the summer and you're trying to like go out and sightsee and things like that, you're gonna get burnt. And a lot of places close in the middle of the day as well in Spain for siesta time. That is so true. Come in winter, and then it's still nice. Like for us Brits, like it's still nice to go out because it's like, I don't know, like 15, 16, 17 degrees, which for us is summer. It's so much nicer. No tourists as well.
Without stinking of sun cream the whole time.
Oh no, when you're like all sticky.
Oh, I hate it.
And it's just and the mosquitoes as well. There are loads of mosquitoes coming. I got my first mosquito bite, so I knew yesterday it was. I got my first mosquito bite. I knew summer had started.
It's happened.
I got the first mosquito bite.
I don't know what it was like. The weather was like in Barcelona at the weekend, but we had incredible weather here in the southeast of England. I mean, you say about burning. I think every 10 minutes was just applying, because we were away for the weekend, just applying sun cream, just like relentlessly. I stank of factor 50. But I think it's just sunk into my pores.
Yeah.
Um,
But you look great. Like you haven't burned. You've managed to avoid it. So well done.
it's because I think I went through the whole like London supply of sun cream.
Yeah. Don't blame you. When you're as pale and pasty as us, we need it. But I've heard that there's like stronger than factor 50.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, someone told me there was like a factor 100 or something. I was like, I need that.
I
Like
need it.
just to walk through the streets here in
Saying that though, it
Spain.
must be like applying glue to
It
like how
must just be
thick
like
that must be.
white. Yeah, yeah, it must be. Yeah. But I mean, if it stops you getting burned, I would do
Yeah.
it. Probably like going to the beach, not like
Oh,
walking around
definitely. Yeah.
Barcelona. That would be
I was saying
weird.
to someone the other day, the worst place I ever got sunburn was on my eyelids. I fell asleep in the
Ooh.
sun, and my
Oh
eyelids. So
no.
not my, I mean, my whole face was burnt, but my eyelids burnt, and every time I blinked, it was just it
Ooh.
was the worst ever.
Oh no. I always feel the worst place. I mean, just in my experience, I've never burnt my eyelids, so I can't compare.
You should
Don't
try
want
it.
to try.
Yeah, give it a
Yeah.
try.
It was the back of my legs, like the back of my thighs
Oh
and the
yeah.
back of my legs, because you would go to sit down, it would
Mm-hmm.
hurt. You would lay down, it would
Yep.
hurt. You'd go sit on the toilet, it would hurt. You'd go in the shower, it would hurt. Like it just hurt all the time. You would bend down, you would put on jeans. Like, oh, it's just
There's just no
awful.
escape.
No, no. I guess it's
Yeah.
like the eyelids thing. Like, what do you do? Just keep your eyes closed the whole
Oh
time. Like,
yeah. It was just I was feeling really sorry for myself as well.
yeah. Oh, you
Um,
poor thing.
yeah, but you live and learn now. Always sun cream my eyelids, which looks weird when
Always.
you're doing it. Just just like the kind of window wipers on your eyelids. But yeah, very good. You're obviously very busy, Emma, and congratulations on your YouTube channel and the success of that. Kind of, what do you do in your free time? Because we were talking before this, and you said you're just been so busy recently. But what do you do to relax
Mm.
and kind of unwind? Is there anything in particular you like to do?
Yeah, it's a good question. It really depends on the day. It
Yeah.
depends on the weather. It depends how I feel.
Mm.
But some hobbies of mine, I enjoy going climbing.
Oh,
So I got into climbing like every millennial. We either go with doing a marathon or joining a bouldering gym, and I went the bouldering gym route. So yeah, like the majority of millennials, I go climbing, and I go a few times a week here.
oh wow.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I feel like it includes everything. It's like
Mm,
it's good for your body, but it's also like a puzzle trying to think and
right.
plan the route. And also while you're climbing, you can't think of anything else. It's not like you're on a treadmill and you're
Hmm.
running and you're thinking about your problems still,
Yeah,
it that you can't think about anything else when you're climbing
right.
up a wall because you're thinking, oh, I've got to go up there now, and now I've
Hmm.
got to go there. Oh, I've got to twist my body and do this. Like you're constantly thinking. So I find it's such a great mental reset.
Yeah, of
um,
course.
I can't think of anything else when I do it. So it's great. I like
Mm.
climbing a lot.
And I guess for
I
you
also,
need that. You need
yeah,
something which is just a complete switch off from
yes,
kind of the hectic, like normal everyday life.
for sure.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I'll crack
yeah,
again.
of course.
Yeah,
Mm.
you really need it. I think it's so important
Mm.
for anyone, not just teachers, but for absolutely anyone
Yeah.
to have something that works at clearing your mind. Because I would try things like meditation, and I
Right.
was like, this is just isn't working. Like my mind's
Mm.
still full. I'm still thinking of many things. And I know people say, no, but you need to train the muscle. It's like, I don't want to train the muscle. I want it to stop.
I want it to
I want to
work.
stop thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah. And climbing was just the only thing where as
yeah.
soon as I get on the wall, it's like the noise is gone and it's just
Wow.
just me and the wall,
Yeah. Was it quite difficult to get into that though? Because I can imagine if you're kind of approaching that from a novice point of view, like if I was to look at the walls that you go climbing on, I really wouldn't know where to start. When
Hmm.
was it just something you thought, I'm just going to try this once and then got hooked, or
It was my boyfriend. I don't know why, but my boyfriend wanted to try it. Maybe he
right?
saw some videos on
Yeah.
social media. He's like, I'll give that a try. Um, and he really enjoyed it. He really got into it. And he basically just wanted a climbing buddy.
Oh.
And he kept saying like, oh, please come, like come climbing, come climbing. And I thought, well, you know what? I'll try it out. I'll see how it is. And I really enjoyed it. I started off doing bouldering at first. And once they got a little bit harder. So for anyone who's listening and they're like, I don't know what bouldering is.
Yeah, including me.
Yeah, okay, I'll explain. Don't worry,
yeah.
because I had no idea either. Okay.
Right.
I was like, it's just a wall, right? You just climb any wall. Bouldering is the one that you do with no ropes, no harnesses, and the walls are much shorter. So you can climb up to the top, and in theory, you can jump down or you can fall.
Oh, okay.
And it's not a super great height. So I started out doing that. I started with bouldering, and then I started doing rope climbing. So that's one where you actually have like a full harness across your hips, and you're attached to a rope, and your partner is on the other side of the rope, the other end of the rope, and they help pull you.
Right.
And they catch you if you fall. So you don't go anywhere. While if you're bouldering, if you fall, you go on the ground. But it's not like a super drop, it's not like a super high drop.
Yeah.
But
it must be enough to make you not want to fall.
Of course. Yeah. Like I don't want to.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, friends of mine who've had really bad injuries haven't actually fallen from great heights. They've just fallen awkwardly from, I don't know, like even just the first 1 or 2 steps. So there's a friend of mine who like, imagine you've got the wall here and then the boulders like coming out. They put their foot on the boulder like this, so like parallel to the wall, not like this, with their toes pointing at the wall. And they just slipped. But because they slipped off it, they landed on the side of their foot.
Oh, no.
And then it was like, and it just, twisted it, and they couldn't climb for weeks afterwards.
Oh, no.
And that's literally the first boulder.
Yeah.
So they can happen at any time. Like it doesn't have to be at the top, but I don't like bouldering for that reason. Like it scares me. I prefer like being attached to a rope, and then if I fall, like at least someone will catch me and I hopefully won't die.
Yeah, that's always a good thing, isn't it? That's always a good bonus with these sports,
Not dying.
Yeah. I always think it's a bonus. I think it's so important to just have those kind of escapes. Also something which is just completely different. Away from, I guess, technology, away from kind of preparing, scripting, editing, whatever it is, and just that, you can just leave your work at home and just go there and enjoy it with, your boyfriend and things like that.
Yeah. I just leave my phone in my locker and I just go and climb, and that's it. I don't have to think about anything else. I really enjoy it. While if I'm on like a treadmill or doing exercises in the gym, you're doing a set and then you stop, you check your phone, then you do another set, you stop, check your phone. And when I'm climbing, I can't do that. And as well, my hands get covered in chalk, so I don't want to touch my phone anyway.
Oh, of course.
So that stops me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there a local place that you can go to outside of Barcelona or?
Yeah, so climbing's quite a big thing here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. A lot of people go out into the mountains as well. So
lovely.
Yeah, my boyfriend's trying to get me to do that.
I guess that's the next level, isn't it?
I think it is, but I'm way too scared. I'm like, I will die if I do that. I mean, you're still attached to a rope, but yeah, no, thank you. I value my life way more.
That's where you'll stop. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the life for me. But it's really common. So like you could go to some of the smallest towns and they have at least one climbing gym. It may just be bouldering, but yeah, it's really common here. Really common.
Huh. Yeah, I've not heard too much of it here in England, but I'm sure there's, there must be places, and give it a try. I'll keep an eye out for it.
I will. Yeah. Try it.
I'll message you and say I broke my ankle.
It's your fault.
I tried it, and I blame you. Yeah, very good. So, of course, I mean, most people watching this will be very aware of you at your YouTube channel, and I mean, I could talk about random things for ages. This is often my problem. I can just talk about random things for far too long. But I'd love to kind of dissect not just your YouTube channel, but also your kind of approach to your lessons and teaching. Of course, you started off just teaching English generally, was it? Before YouTube or
Before YouTube, yeah.
yeah.
So I started teaching, wow, if we're going all the way back, I
Let's go
technically
back. Yeah.
started teaching when I was 15. And for
Oh.
context, I turned 32 this year.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's been a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But at 15, what am I talking about? I started when I was 17, 16. I'm completely lying to you. So when I was 16. Anyway, it's only 1 year.
I didn't question it. You can. That's the thing. You can give me any answer, and I'll
When
believe
I was
you.
8 years old, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, when I was like 16, 17
Right.
years old, I started helping kids with dyslexia with their
Oh,
reading as a
amazing.
volunteer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I enrolled like on this volunteering
Hmm.
thing when I was at sixth form. And for anyone who doesn't know what sixth form is, it's what you do between school and university. It's like
Yeah.
you prepare for university in sixth form. So yeah, I was there for 2 years and doing that. And then in my first year of uni, I didn't do any teaching. I didn't do anything. I just enjoyed university life, typical
Yeah.
student.
Yeah.
And then my first like proper English teaching, let's call it experience, because it wasn't a job, was when I was studying at university in Spain. So in my second year at uni, I went to Tarragona, which is like an hour and a half from from Barcelona
Yeah.
in Spain. But from Barcelona, an hour and a half on the train, more or less. And yeah, for like a set number of credits at university, I could go to a Catalan secondary school and work as like a language assistant and help the teacher. And I was basically just there for pronunciation or to talk about culture or whatever.
Yeah.
No, just another person, another helper in the class.
Of course. Yeah.
And I remember I just enjoyed it so much. I thought this is so much fun. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. So once I finished doing that and I had to go back to England for my final year, I started teaching Turkish refugees.
Wow.
So I don't know why they were refugees. I don't know what was going on in their country, but they'd moved to York, which is in the north of England, for anyone who's curious. And it's where I was studying at York St. John. And they had some kind of like agreement, like, I don't know whether it was like a government agreement where they said, look, we'll get these students to deliver these free English lessons to these refugees. So yeah, I was doing that for a year and I helped like plan the lessons. I helped develop a whole syllabus. Yeah, I was doing all of that at like the age of 21, 22, like developing my first course syllabus and stuff like that.
And you'd already done so much before that point.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So, yeah, then after that, I finished university and I studied linguistics at university. So many of my modules were about language acquisition and language teaching and teaching methodologies and stuff like that. And applied linguistics, which is quite heavily related to it. So yeah, I felt it was just like a natural progression to go more into English teaching.
Yeah.
So when I finished my degree, like a week or two later, I was in a CELTA course and I was doing CELTA, which is an English teaching qualification for anyone who doesn't know. And I did that for 4 weeks. And then I got my first ever big girl teaching job, paid finally. Yeah. It's only taken like, 8 years or something before I finally got paid. And yeah, I worked in a summer school down in Brighton.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was there for a few months, like 3 or 4 months teaching for the summer.
That's a great place, Brighton.
It is only in the summer. I feel like in the winter it kind of dies a little bit. Like there's not much on.
Yeah, I don't even think it exists in winter. But
No,
yeah,
no,
summer it's amazing. Yeah.
just a big grey mess, like the rest of England actually in
Yeah.
winter. But yeah, nothing happens. It's very miserable, very windy, very cold in the winter. But in the summer, love Brighton.
It comes
Actually, we were there a
alive,
few
doesn't
weeks
it?
ago. It does. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know where all these people come from, but they just come out of the woodworks and
And you've got all like, I just love all
never.
the street musicians. You've got all the, I don't know, just the atmosphere,
Yeah,
the buzz in summer.
just everything about it. It's
Yeah.
like such a laid back, cool
It really
vibe.
is. Yeah.
It's so nice. But then once I finished my contract there,
Yeah.
like it hit September, summer was over, and they said, look, we don't need you anymore. I
Oh.
said, okay, no problem. I'll try and find another job as an English teacher. So I started applying to other jobs and I couldn't get anything. I
Oh.
couldn't get any jobs anywhere.
Right.
I tried to find private students, and the students that I did have were either very unreliable, or they didn't want to pay me, or they wanted to pay me very, very, very little. Like we're talking £5 an hour, which to some
Oh.
people may be like, wow, that's amazing in my country. But I mean, you buy a loaf of bread and a pint of milk in England and it's already £4. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say you haven't got a lot of change left.
no. So yeah, it really knocked my confidence, because I felt like I'm supposed to be a teacher and no one wants me. I was so upset. I was so like, honestly, it was one of the lowest points in my life. I was so depressed.
Well, that is quite defeating, isn't it? When you've put in that much work, that much time, and I think as well, you give a lot of yourself in those kind of situations. You give a lot of yourself, not just physically, but emotionally as well. And then for it to come to that's quite demoralizing.
It is. It's just soul destroying.
Yeah.
It's so crushing. And I remember I started a job in a nursing home because it was the only job I could get. So I was a nursing assistant in a nursing home, which is a place where usually like older people go. I mean, I know what it is. I explained it to podcast.
No, it's fine. No, keep going.
It's a place where like typically people who are quite old and they can't look after themselves anymore and they don't have relatives to take care of them, they go into a nursing home and they live permanently, and they have nurses looking after them 24/7. And I was a nursing assistant, so I did my nursing assistance training and stuff like that, and God, I hated it. I hated that job. The only thing I really liked was talking to the people, talking to the residents, because they were just so nice. And even like the miserable ones, like they still liked me a little bit.
Yeah. You can just be miserable with them, can't you?
Yeah, exactly.
You can just moan about life. Yeah.
Yeah. Just have a bit of banter with them. And it was fine. But I absolutely hated the way the place was run. I hated the boss. She was awful. I became incredibly depressed. And I remember she accused me of something really bad. And I went home crying. I went home like in tears. And I just went to bed and like hid under the duvet. And my boyfriend came in and he said, "What's happened today?" And I said, "Oh, she's accused me," she being the boss, has accused me of doing something really bad, which was not true. Because I said to her, "If you think this is true, then call the police." And she was just using it as a threat, to punch me down. And my boyfriend was like, "You're going to hand in your letter of resignation. You're going to write your letter, hand it in tomorrow morning, first thing." So I did. I wiped my tears from my face, jumped on my laptop, wrote my letter of resignation. Next day, I got on my bike, 7 a.m. Wasn't even working. I was just so excited to hand in my letter of resignation. I was there at 7 a.m. Handed it in. And then I was back to square one. It was like 2 weeks later. I have no job now. What do I do? No job, no money.
Was it also a bit of a relief that was kind of off of your shoulders now?
Yeah.
You didn't have that pressure anymore.
Yeah. It really was. Like I was so happy to get out. Like I cannot tell you how depressing it was. It was so bad. Like I was crying every day. Had chest pains. Like it was bad. Anxiety attacks. Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm happy now, and I'm like, I was depressed, but actually, no, I really was. So yeah, when was it? It was like a month or not even a month, like a few weeks later or something. I thought, you know what? I'm gonna contact a few schools and see if I
Yeah.
can get something a little bit earlier in the summer. Maybe they'll start in like April or May or something. And there was a language school in the town I was staying in, a very, very small town. And they said, yeah, we've got some places if you want to
Wow.
come. So yeah, I ended up going there. It was like 10 hours a week. So it was like nothing, but I was
Mm.
like just so happy to be teaching.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But of course, once the summer ended, we were back to square one. And I said
Mm.
to my boyfriend, look, before the summer ends, like we need to move somewhere where I can find students, where I can start a business. Because this was
Mm.
way before like online teaching.
Of course.
And we moved to Bristol and it was full of Spanish people,
Wow.
Italian people, well, people from everywhere, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's full of Spanish and Italian people. So I was like, perfect, let's go. I started up a conversation club completely for free. It's like a way to advertise myself.
Wow.
And I told myself, I'm gonna make it work. I'm gonna start a business because my other option is working in the supermarket down the street. And I'd worked
Mm.
in a supermarket in the past and I did not want to do that again.
Mm.
So yeah, that was my story.
Wow.
I
So
did my master's and that was it.
so it was that at that point kind of you thought, well, I'm determined to do this on my own as an English teacher rather than kind of
Yeah.
relying on a school or another company. That was the point you thought, I'm going to do this on my own.
Yeah, it wasn't another option. There was
Yeah.
no other option. There
Mm.
was just, I'm going to do this or I'm not going to I'm going to do this. Like
Yeah.
there was no other option. That was it for me.
Wow.
So I worked so hard. Like we were talking
Mm.
before, we hit record about like the work that goes into everything we do. But
Yes.
I truly don't think people understand how much we
No.
worked behind the scenes.
Mm.
And I was working a lot. And yeah, it was crazy because for me, as I said, it was my only option.
Mm-hmm.
So it was I've got to work and work and work and make this work.
Mm.
So yeah, I think that's why I am where I am now. That's why I'm
Wow.
sitting here.
What amazing. But I do think, I mean, I know for me that's encouraging, but I know for so many listening, that will be really encouraging because one, I think there might be people that have been in are in a position now which is similar to what you were in.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
also it shows, that if you can make what you love doing work. Sometimes you have to jump through a few hurdles, I don't know, and to get there, you know what I mean, which you've clearly done. So
Yeah.
I guess jumping forward a bit to YouTube, of course, pronunciation with Emma, which is extremely successful now, and
It's doing all right, isn't it? My little
congratulations.
YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's funny,
Growing
isn't it?
well.
In your head, it stays. I mean, I'm only a little YouTube channel at the moment, but in your head, it stays small, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But then it's kind of this mammoth kind of on the internet now.
Like I don't even look at the amount of subscribers I
Yeah.
have until someone's like, how many subscribers have you got? I'm like, actually, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the numbers can get to you a little bit because you're like, why are my subscribers not going up more than last month? What happened? And yeah, it can really drive you crazy. So I try not to look, like I have a rough idea, but I don't look too much.
Yes, you can't obsess over it, can you?
No.
So I'm intrigued, of course, because you were teaching English, but your channel, of course, which the name suggests, is focused around pronunciation. And is that the way that you wanted it to go from the beginning, or was that kind of the point that you were most interested in?
Yes and no. So it's I kind of don't know which part to start with. I feel like it's a chicken and egg thing with me, but because I always enjoyed teaching pronunciation.
Yeah.
And because I studied phonetics and phonology at university as part of my linguistics degree,
Yeah.
I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed learning about I just enjoyed making funny noises and being like, this is learning,
Yeah.
And I just enjoyed I don't know, looking at little graphs where it's like we could see the vibration of da 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 da. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And, I don't know, it's like proper nerdy stuff. And then when I started just like teaching normally and stuff like that, of course, I wasn't bringing in that much nerdiness to the sessions, but I always enjoyed teaching pronunciation. And I found that it was so overlooked by many teachers. And I think it still is. People just don't know how to teach it. And I'm not throwing shade at them. It's not their fault. It's a lot of the time to do with the teacher training that's out there. Like my CELTA, for example, my CELTA course, we did like 1 hour of looking at the British phonemic chart, and that was it.
Right.
Like, I remember with grammar, we did like different lessons on grammar and how to present it and stuff, but phonetics, it was like, oh, just learn this chart. Oh, it doesn't matter if you don't remember it. You won't need it anyway. But,
there's a grammar obsession, isn't there? There's this obsession with grammar and how we present it. But actually, the way we vocalize sounds is that's what helps us to communicate.
You can learn all the grammar in the world, but if you can't pronounce anything and no one understands you, then it's useless,
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, I started my channel because a lot of my students at the time, we would talk about pronunciation in lessons and stuff. They would do general lessons and things like that. And I would say, okay, let's practice this, I don't know, this vowel. And then I told them, I want you to go and research this vowel a little bit more. Like, go and practice this vowel more. Have a look on YouTube, see what there is. And there wasn't really anything.
Wow.
Like, we're talking 7, 8, 9 years ago. Right. I started my channel 7 years ago, which is so weird. It feels like 2 years ago I started it, not 7.
Time flies.
It does. It's so scary. But yeah, a lot of students, they would come back to the session, come back to the lessons, or send me a message or an email or whatever, and be like, I can't find anything on the lighter dark L, or I can't find something on this vowel or whatever. And anything they could find, it was either American English, or it was quite superficial was the topic. Again, I'm not throwing shade. It's just, some people don't know the deep rules of sounds and things like that. And they're just like, listen and repeat. And, that's the teaching. But there's no kind of why or like how, where is the tongue? What am I touching? And things like that.
Wow.
And I felt that was missing. So I waited, I was doing my master's degree in English teaching as well. Wow. And I thought, God, there's still nothing. There's still absolutely nothing. I hope someone creates something soon.
Yeah.
Finish my master's. And after like a month of handing in my final dissertation, I was like, you know what? No one's created anything. I might have a go, see where it leads. So I started. So I really only started because my students were struggling with it. And I wanted to create something that I could send to my students and say, practice this for your homework.
Of course.
And then I discovered the power of social media, that it could actually help more people, not just my students.
I think that's a really interesting way to start, though, because it's, I mean, a lot of people start YouTube to start YouTube. But actually you started it in this quite authentic, natural way, and that was to create just content to help your students you already had. Yeah. It's quite a pure way of starting, isn't it?
Yeah. And then like Instagram as well, I started on there, and like I would just post little videos and stuff on there, and then I realized like it wasn't just my students commenting, it was other people commenting, and I was like, who are all these random people? And I was so scared. But yeah, then more people started saying, can you do a video on this word? Can you do a video on blah, blah, blah? So yeah, it just grew like that. It
snowballed from there, didn't it?
It did. Yeah, the more and more people found me.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could talk to you for ages, but I know time is of the essence.
We'll have to have a podcast episode, like a second part.
I'm up for it. We'll continue this. Yeah. And because a lot of, actually, this was question to you. A lot of students I have, they will talk to me about, I want to have this accent, I want to have that accent, or they'll play me like an audio clip. I want to sound like this person or like this celebrity. And do you think sometimes people get lost in accents more than pronunciation? Is that something you've noticed?
I think people don't often know the difference between the two.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people just think accent and pronunciation are the same, but they're really not. They're like sisters, but they're not the same,
Yeah.
They go hand in hand, because of course the way you pronounce words can change depending on your accent. So like they go together in that sense. But to very briefly define them, pronunciation is the way that you say the word. Accent is usually the I've got effect. It's not effect. It's the influence is what I'm trying to say. It's the influence, usually like a geographical influence or a social class influence or your mother tongue influence on the way that you say something. So you could be from the UK, but of course, like the way you say bath is really different to how I say bath. Because I'm from the north, and I guess you're from the south.
I say bath.
Bath. Yeah,
exactly.
I feel really posh when I say bath. I knew.
But my wife's from Manchester.
Okay.
And we talk about this for hours on end, which is right. But
yeah. So that's an accent thing. Like we still understand each other. We know we're saying bath and bar, but it's an influence from where we grew up or where we live or wherever. Yeah. That's more accent.
Exactly. And I was, of course, watching your videos for some time, and I was just reviewing some of them before this podcast. And that's what I particularly like about the way you present pronunciation. It's focused on pronunciation, and the real depths and the intricacies of how to create sounds, and also why you're creating them a certain way. Which is, it's really important, isn't it? It's massively important.
It is. Yeah. I get a lot of teachers as well saying like, oh, I watch your videos so I can learn about why we do things, and then I can teach my students. I'm like, that's great. Like, continue passing on this knowledge. It's like passing on the baton of, is it baton? What's it called?
That's it,
passing on the baton.
Yeah.
Passing on the baton of knowledge. Now give it to your students. Yeah, if it helps teach. That was never my intention to help teachers, but the fact that it does help teachers is like, I think that's so
I think it's great.
Cool.
I think that's such an awesome kind of, I don't know, thing to be able to do, just as well as students, help those that are also trying to impart knowledge. So what about, I don't know, because I guess sometimes when people focus on accents, it can come across a little bit unnatural. When people want to kind of sound a certain way, they almost start putting on a personality. What kind of encouragement or advice would you give to someone to learn or improve their pronunciation naturally?
Do you mean like improving their pronunciation naturally so they don't feel fake when they speak? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. So rather than trying to learn it to sound a certain way or the way someone else does, just kind of I guess improve their own pronunciation. Rather than imitation.
I get what you mean. Yeah, I think there's like this really big narrative pushed of like, you must sound like a native. That is end game.
Exactly
if you sound like a native, then you've completed English.
Exactly.
But it's not the case. I mean, you only have to listen to how I speak after I've been speaking Spanish, and my accent changes because I get like influenced by Spanish and Yorkshire and everything. It's an absolute mess is my accent some days. I would, so if you're worried about let's say not sounding native, let's just take this very specific example, because a lot of people feel this way. I would start looking at non-native English speakers who are actors or singers. So one person I recommend to people, I never know how to say her name. This is sort of me because I always recommend her, but it's always in writing. Is it Gal Gadot? Is that how her name's pronounced?
Yes. I just go by. Is it Wonder Woman?
Gal Gadot is pronounced.
Is it really? I always thought it was Gal Gadot.
I know it's Gal Gadot, but I don't know. Wikipedia's saying Gadot. Gadot.
Yeah. Gal Gadot. I'll go with that. Yeah.
So she is an actress, a non-native English speaker, who plays Wonder Woman in the film Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's Wonder Woman. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And she went through some extensive accent reduction training. Now, I'm very specifically saying accent reduction training here because that's very different to, say, pronunciation training.
Mm-hmm.
And she spent a lot of money and a lot of time. And I mean, she really, really worked at trying to sound as American as possible for this role of Wonder Woman. But then what happened was, if you listen to her, she doesn't sound native. But that has not stopped her getting the role of freaking Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
In one of the biggest films, when it came out. It's such an inspiration. So I always say to students, don't ever let the way you speak, don't ever let your accent get in the way of anything, because you just have to look at people like Gal Gadot or what's her name? The woman from, I think she's from Colombia. Is it Sofia? Vergara. That's
Sofia
it.
Vergara, yeah.
Or Vergara. Yeah. Sofia Vergara in Spanish, but yeah. Sofia Vergara, I guess we would say. She has a very strong accent, but look at her. She's an amazing actress. She's accomplished so much. Yeah. Look at these people.
I think that's such a good
so amazing
point. Such good examples, because there is this obsession with sounding like a native. And I think there's a lot of information out there which says, do this to sound like a native. Well, I think just go down to pronunciation. Just work on pronunciation, and then you build your own kind of natural way of speaking and your own personality and your authentic approach.
Exactly. So long as people can understand you, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Because I know for sure, in Spain, for example, if I say something like, I don't know, perro, which means dog. I just looked at my dog, give me a word in Spanish. Dog.
The dog's ears just gone, yes.
Yeah. It's funny because my dog only understands Spanish, but I always say she's trilingual for treats. So whatever, if you give her a treat, whatever language you speak to her in, whether it's Spanish, Catalan, or English, she will understand it and she will do that trick. It's so funny. So, trilingual for treats. But yeah, let's say, for example, I say perro, dog in Spanish. It's quite easy to understand, hopefully, for Spanish speakers. But if I say something like perro, and I'm moving the stress and I'm pronouncing it with different vowels, and I'm pronouncing the r as a r, for example, and I say, I don't know, tengo un perro instead of tengo un perro, I have a dog. Yeah. They're going to be like, what are you saying? So yeah, that would be a case of having to work on your pronunciation a little bit to ensure people understand you, because that's the most important thing, right? Language is designed to communicate, so focus on communicating. Language wasn't designed for you to sound like a native. It was designed for you to get what's in here out of here and into your brain. And that's it.
That's such a great point to end on. That was, time has gone far too quickly.
I know what happened.
I do completely agree with you, and I think that is a really lovely point. Just almost just relax, and just chill. Just chill and enjoy it.
Unless you're going to be a spy. But it's funny because I do have some students who say to me, I want to sound like a native. And my first question is why? And they will say something like, because I think you should. I think you should sound like a native. Well, why? Why do you think that? Who's told you this? Why do you believe this?
Give me their name.
I'll sort them out for you.
Yeah.
But you know what? I also I'm not one of these people that shames my student if they do want to try and sound like a native, because some people, they just do. Like, they just like the accent. They want to sound like someone from Yorkshire. I don't know. Like, they like it, and who am I to stop them?
Yeah.
It's
That's
like,
true. There's nothing wrong with that, is there? But
no.
if it's stressing you out, or you're comparing yourself to others, then I guess that's when it comes a little bit, kind of putting too much pressure on yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. Emma, that was an absolute pleasure. And I know you are extremely busy, and I know I appreciate it. Everybody listening on Spotify and watching on YouTube will really appreciate you joining me today. And I will take you up on that offer to do this again, because that was thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah, we'll have to do a part 2. I don't know what it will be about, but
I'll find something. Yeah, I'll find something. Yeah.
We're both quite chatty. Like, give us any topic. Comment below with a topic that you want us to talk about.
Yeah, that's a good idea. See, that's coming from a pro. I don't even think about that stuff. I'm just like, all right, bye.
You need a call to action in every single piece of content.
Yeah, this is why I have guests. Very good. Thank you, Emma, and I'll see you soon.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.